Toby.
Hi, Toby.
I'm Helen's son.
Oh, hi. I'm Joan. I've been in the book club.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, first one here.
See that? Yeah, I just thought that I'm not going to be able to stay a long time. But I'm just wondering, is someone speaking from somewhere?
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, we're going to be speaking from, I think it's here or there.
And
Maybe this is the microphone.
I was just wondering where I can sit.
I would sit over this.
Okay.
You don't actually.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Dad.
Much more than this. Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew when I bit off much more than I could chew. I threw it all, and there was doubt. And we smelled it all. I risked it all, and I stood tall.
Oh. There you go. Should we get some more chairs? Right? We did put bring them for some people. Carol brings chairs. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They want me to say it's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. Yeah. So we try to position them so that. I always enjoy Sunday. I look forward to
I put Meg. Well, I can't just do this.
And may I say, not in a sly way. No, 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 not me.
You can best serve this up.
I'm getting mine.
That's okay.
What has he got? If not himself. No, to say the things he truly feels.
No, it was good.
The one
I was asking Meg. Okay.
How long did you drive out?
No, we took the ferry from and one night.
All day on the ferry.
Yeah. And then we just by an island to be smart. Overnight there. On the ferry. And ferries. It's so long.
You have Mark and Nina. Where's that trail? They're up here. Yeah.
Same house.
Thank you.
Oh, Canadian way.
You have a fires? Yeah, neighbors went to our backyard. That's close to the fires and... No, you can't, right?
Correct.
I don't think there's oh, it's not my house. I think my house is okay with it.
One house is burned, the next one will be uncut.
That's right. It just picks and
It's
chooses.
stuff flying through the air.
That's
and
right.
it lands in your roof or
That
not.
was my backyard.
Oh, those are delicious. I saved them all from you. Didn't just give me back the flowers I brought.
Right, zoom in. This is my neighbor's webcam pointed
I'll
at
put them
the
on the
back.
table, maybe? On that table? Or do you have a specific area that you want? Well, there might be a good spot.
Hi, Meg.
Oh, hi. One sec, Sally. Okay, let's put those on. Oh, what about right here? Yeah.
Right?
Have you met Rob's parents? Oh, and my brother Toby.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Just left? Yeah, they did, and they're having a hard time starting their car. Yeah.
Oh, they're coming. Yeah, they're running a little late. It's all better than green. That would have been tricky.
I like how young
Too, right?
Yeah. Ringo, I don't know. Have you met Ringo? This is Megan's brother
Nice to meet you, Ringo.
and Rob's dad
I remember. Hello?
and Rob's mom.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
And that's the youngest Morgan. That's Morgan. That's the younger brother.
Gotcha. How young are we talking?
3 of them.
Younger than Megan? Yeah.
Yes, he's the youngest of the 3.
Yeah. 10 years younger than me.
Big difference.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a surprise?
I was surprised.
Yeah, you do? How many kids do you have?
I have 2. So Stella, which is Madeline's age,
Okay.
and then we have Benicio, which is between Charlotte and 11.
And you guys are still local?
Yeah, we're still here.
Cool. Sure, I'll...
Yeah,
Whatever.
so
Surprise me. Yeah.
we connect once a month.
Okay.
And so I think didn't even have I saw her walking and I hadn't seen her forever.
Yeah.
So I chased her down.
Just live around. Did you live on the farm?
Yes, all the backyard connected our parents' yard. Yeah.
That was right.
Yeah. It was connected there. Your dad's yard looks really
It's
nice.
pretty nice, eh?
Busy.
Yes.
His honeysuckle did better than mine. Because we've all given up on our gardens.
Did you? It's too hot?
It's just too
Dave, do you want a drink?
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep cool.
Yeah, it's hard.
He'll be back
It's too
in
hot.
like 5 minutes.
Now we're sounding old. We start to sound old.
Oh, I know.
It's too hot. Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you found a bubble.
You see it?
I'm so dehydrated.
That happened.
That really did a nice arrangement of these flowers. And did they provide the vase with them?
Oh, Brad.
Yeah, so
Barry. How you doing? Nice to see you. Well, a lot better than I was last time I saw you. I just got savage down there. Yeah, still kind of getting used to it. How's your voice? You? You're okay? Open on the map.
I texted her last night because I was early this morning. We were just hanging around the yard there. It seemed a little bit, ambiguous. We didn't know. Kind of chilly for this today because last night it got a little bit rainy. Last night we were up a bit. Actually, maybe so. I'm prepared to get when it feels nice. So it looks like it's going to be good. Well, we'll see. We're already at Friday.
This is serious.
mean, they're not going to be there, but I think Dar, yeah,
No,
I think Dar will pop behind the van.
that's what's going to be.
I mean, the food truck.
Because we're going to have a lot more of this. I think we're going to get into like kind of like a chili. An extreme, a lot more fluctuations. A month of
Some get stung, it's worth the cost. Love to stay. The city calls me home. Passengers fuss and lies on the phone. Listen my story.
No, and I think, you know, with everything really
Control living free.
you know, like I know that we're not supposed to be monitoring our here. But part of me thinks that's sensible for drinking water, but at the same time it's a little scary for those that don't want to try surrounding. Like I don't want to have a barbecue and out here and be watching, you know, with nothing lights on fire around me. Well, it's not so much the fire itself. When you have it, it's more like a fire department because of, you know, 1 square foot burnt grass. We already had that once a year ago. It was a fire. One, because it was a fire ban, and we had a fire pit. It's partially a barbecue, so it's a multi-purpose little campfire. It's got an actual cast iron grill for the barbecue, and I use nice, you know, good parts of it for barbecue. It's a fire ban.
And I'm in Canada.
I still watch this one time I got fire ban.
That's right.
I have a nice fire. So the fire department showed up. Stood it outside.
Where are you guys going?
Yes.
Well, I think the farmers around here burn everything when it's
I came
raining,
first to
right?
help set up.
Whether there's a fire ban or not. As soon as it starts to rain, and it's going to rain for a day,
That's
they
what
just burn the pile. Yeah, because there's no smoke trace in the middle of the night, right? So they'll light it at night.
Yeah.
So the rain will put out the clothes on the end. The fire will burn most of the stuff will burn.
Getting some feet. It's just really something.
Maybe that farmer has rain too. We have a friend that's got 100 acres farmland, and he's got his burn pile right in the center of the farm. So, well, the fire department wouldn't know how to get to it. There's a lot of weird windy roads here in the property, right?
And you're wearing exactly your.
There's all kinds of houses everywhere. It's the first time, right? Just finding it would be a hazard. Sitting down, actually first 2 weeks there was a lot of progress.
I know.
I think she was going out. She wasn't on the.
They should get enough, but then
She was there all the time. Yeah.
So that's where she would first, I guess, get take
seems like it's like
She just did the weekend. She's done that.
Oh, I didn't know that. How many boats you have?
Where was the shade?
Oh, Sunday. That's the one we did. Carol goes on check 150.
that's good. I might stand it most of the time, but that's fine. Even if I can't stand, I should take it easy because I can't for it at night. By the end of the day, it's swallowing it.
Anyway, that was
Hey? No, they're all beautiful. It's a good mix. Yeah, I think Charlotte and Julia are, you can see the yeah, no, really. Where are they? Where were they born? Here. I try to find correlation with I know. Oh, how's it going, man? Long time no see. You're just a friend of his birthday party. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him yesterday.
Oh, yeah, okay. Nice size here. It was this big.
This side is actually pipeline. So
Oh, I'm fine.
Tap into the pipe.
Yeah, I got my
Start selling gas. Canada.
You want to put a chair by Stella there, Amy?
was she born in California?
I'm also Mexican. It's complicated. But in 40 seconds, here we go. I was born in California. Moved to Mexico when I was 4 months old. Lived by myself. Then I moved back to California when I was 10. But I was registered in Mexico as if I was born there too. My dad thought it was a great idea. I just told the local officer that I was born there. I got this new kid, you know. It's pretty healthy. So I got 2 birth certificates. 3 now, but 1 real legal one. The other one is sort of like, it's alright. As long as you don't get into too much trouble. So at 13 I moved back to Mexico. And then at 16 I moved back to California. No, so after I finished high school in California, I moved here. So I've been here since. Yeah, I moved around. So I'm from North America originally, officially.
Does that mean American citizenship? So you've got Americans and Canadian. And
Two guys.
I had no idea. Is it
People ask me, I like to play sometimes. I'm from North America.
so you have, so is it actually active? So you could have to get past it.
There is a bit of a conflict. I think the U.S. does not like to recognize dual citizens.
Yeah.
That's a big
But many people have it.
yeah, but as long as I don't interfere with any country when I stick with them, it wouldn't matter too much, right? They're not aware that I have a war Mexico. It would only be, I think, relevant if I needed to travel or I become legal, like a public servant. If I get into politics, then people would take that out. Like, wait a minute, this guy wanted to war here. Remember Trump, the birther? The birther. Born in Kenya.
Yeah. Jump all the way there. Sorry, thank you.
I'm Rob. I remember we met.
Yes, Mark. Yeah, nice to see you, Rob. Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Did you know about Mark?
Yeah, I met Mark at the.
We had that candle lighting.
Have you been introduced properly?
No, I just.
Mark is
Just
a
a-
professional musician who moonlights as a math course.
Yes, I know the story.
That is, yeah. You got it backwards, but yeah.
No, I
that's
don't.
it.
No, I don't.
yeah.
That's deliberate.
So is it okay if we sit here or? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, of course. I think.
Put some, because, well, you've got the speaker here. So,
Yeah.
there you go. That's
For all practical purposes.
All right. Yeah, I'll do a little bit of background here. I can.
I was gonna grab a glass of wine for the weather.
Yes. Water in the car.
I can help you with that. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. I think I'm seeing yourself.
Hey, Rob.
It's okay. It won't be super loud or anything. If you're worried about, yeah. And then he's gonna. This is a good spot, isn't it? I think it's a good spot. And then he's gonna. And we're gonna. People say words right here, so you're right in a good spot for that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a good. It's a good spot. You're in a good spot.
Actually, I ran into your dad and brother at Adam's house. Yeah.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong born on the sea. Sail away, kill all the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. lover. Go away somewhere all bright and new. 'Cause I have seen no other who compares with you. 'Cause you belong among wildflowers. You belong in a bowl on the sea. You belong with your love on your own. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, go find a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve all the deepest of covers. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your troubles and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free. That's like the, seems to be the highway.
Some days well, some days yesterday was
Cause we've been through some things together, chunks of memories still to come. We found things to do, stormy weather. Long may you run, long may you run, long may you run. Although these changes have come, with your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Back in Blind River, 1962, when I last saw you alive. But we missed that shift on the long decline. Long may you run, long may you run, long may you run. Although these changes have come, with your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Maybe those Beach Boys, they got you now. Those waves in Carolina, rolling down the empty ocean road, getting to the surf on time. Long may you run, long may you run, although these changes have come. With your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Remember when our songs were just like prayer, like gospel hymns that you caught in the air. Come down, sweet river rain. From this house in rain. Ring like silver, ring like gold. Ring out those ghosts on the old highway. The belly ring like clear day wedding bells, with the belly of the beast and the sword that will never tell. Come on some sea. Watch the world spinning waves, mad machine. Now I've been crazy, couldn't you tell? Threw stones at the stars, but the whole sky fell. Now I'm covered up in straw, belly up on the table. I drank and sang and passed in the stable. Come to me, clean cold on some sea. Watch the world spinning waves, man machine. Well, that tall grass grows tall and brown, and I dragged you straight in the muddy ground. Get me back to where I roam. Well, I cursed and cried, but now I know. Now I know. I ran back to that hollow again. The moon was just a sliver back then. I ached from my heart like some tin man, when it cares to the crime, how I hear, oh, it's ringing. Ring like silver, ring like gold, ring out those ghostly lights. Ring like silver, ring like gold, turn these diamonds straight back in the comb. Turn these diamonds straight back in the comb. Yeah, when you wanna, do you wanna, yeah. Sounds good. It's into my mind, to the deep, taking me up to observatory. See if the moon, the stars agree to take me out. Where is he heading, sir? Where you been hiding? What you been running from? Two worlds colliding. 'Cause everybody hides, everybody bleeds, everybody wants, everybody needs love. Maybe I ain't the one. Maybe I ain't the one. Look who rises and calls from the east. Oh, the sky, it begs and pleads. Get up off your knees and look around. 'Cause everybody hides, everybody bleeds, everybody hurts, everybody feels, everybody cries, everybody dreams, everybody wants, everybody needs love. And I am the one. Well, I am the one. 'Cause everybody hides, everybody bleeds, everybody hurts, everybody feels, everybody's right, everybody's wrong, everybody's old, everybody's young, everybody's low, everybody's high, everybody lives, everybody dies, everybody cries, everybody dreams, everybody wants, everybody needs love. And I am the one. I am the one.
Lightweight, but they don't So when somebody you come from an IPA, somebody has to want to
Call you when I need you. Heart's on fire. You come to me, wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I have. Give me a lifetime of promises and a world of dreams. Speak the language of love like you know what it means. And I can't be wrong. Take my heart and make it strong. 'Cause you're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I never stuck in your heart. Hang on every word you say. Tear us apart. Baby, I'd rather be there. In your heart I see the start of every night and every day. In your eyes I get lost away. Just as long as you're here in your arms, can be no better place. 'Cause you're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. I'm stuck on your heart. Hang on every word you say. Tear us apart. Baby, I'd rather be dead. And each time you leave me, I start losing control. You're walking away with my heart and my soul. I can feel you, babe, even when I'm alone. Baby, don't let go. You're simply the best. You're better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Lord, I love you. I'm stuck on your heart. Hang on every word you say. Will tear us apart. Baby, I'd rather be dead. You're simply the best. You're simply the best. You're simply the best. You're simply the best. Okay. Now we're going to get your attention. Jeremy's going to say a few words, and I think maybe some others as well. So.
Sit down or perch or.
I can adjust the volume on here. But talk
He
quite close.
he probably can into this one as well.
Yeah.
Well, is everybody settled down? Hey, people in the house, come on out.
Dad, is the microphone on?
Testing, testing. Is yours okay? Thank you. The gentleman over there is Mike. He's from the Legacy Streaming. And so we are live to the world at the minute. And the video will be available online afterwards through Henderson's Funeral Home. So yeah, I'm sure you all know I'm Jeremy. I am the husband, I remain the husband of Helen Smith, the late Helen Smith. And I am both, I guess, honored and appalled to be talking to you today. Helen and I were together for 56 years. We met when we were 19, second year of university, and Helen was my best friend for those 56 years. No matter what else, she was my best friend and remained so till the day she died. So thank you all for attending, particularly the people that came from out of town, and this is in honor of Helen. And I've told the story to a couple of people who went to a funeral of a friend of hers in England, and it was a very boring, stodgy affair. People had suits on, and it was a dusty little church, and they sang half-hearted hymns, and they made boring speeches. And she said to me, if you ever do that to me, I'm going to come back and haunt you. So right at the minute, we're making a good start to make sure that my nights are peaceful. So please, remember this is a celebration of life. Helen had a full life, an adventurous life. She was much loved, and she was a part of many people's lives, as the number of you here attest to. That's a testament in itself to Helen. So for those of you that didn't know Helen and her early life, she was born in southeast London, in one of the areas that was regarded as one of the poorest and most disadvantaged in the city at the time. And it was an area where a lot of it had been bombed in the Second World War. People in her family lost their lives, they lost their homes, and she was part of an extended family, which was sort of like a clan, and there was a lot of that was prevalent in England at the time. And she lived in a block of flats because after the war, because of the need of housing, the government put up pretty basic brick accommodation called council flats. Government, like we'd call it subsidized housing here, but they were called council flats. And her mother worked as a waitress, and a waitress in central London, in what at the time was a very important street. It was Fleet Street, and that's where all the newspapers came from. They were all there. And she did the silver service waitressing for like banquets and dining, upscale dining experiences. And her dad was a merchant seaman. He was a cook, and he would spend most of his time at sea. He was at sea before the war. During the war, he was in the convoys, and after the war, he was back at sea again. So he was not at home a lot. And he died when Helen was 11, suddenly. So this was a far from privileged upbringing. But Helen was an extremely smart lady. She was always the smart one of the two of us. You don't laugh at me. I told her that many times. She didn't believe it. But I always tell her, you're the smart one. And she was. In many ways, streets ahead of me. So as she grew up, her cousin Chris, she spent time with him and was looked after with him. Used to come home as a latchkey kid, and her mum would be out working and often didn't see her. She was late home at night. So it was a pretty independent life. And at 11, there was a thing called the 11 plus, which was an academic grading exercise, and only 10% of the people got through. Both she and I got through because we were good at schoolwork, right? And her dad managed to get her into a thing called Rains Foundation, which was the oldest school that accepted girls for public education in England. To get there, she had to go on a bus ride in her school uniform at 11 years old on her own for 45 minutes across London, there and back each day. And she'd go over Tower Bridge, you've seen the pictures of it, and pass through the Elephant and Castle, which is, I drove through there once. I'm not going to do it again ever in my lifetime. And so that was right in the middle of London. She was a real Londoner. Then she did well at school. And got what we called A levels, again, more academic streaming, and got accepted into university, which at the time, for a girl coming from her background, was unusual, because she was smart. The school was very proud of her class because I gather 3 of them made it into university, and I think it was the first time. So in a university, she did a general arts degree, which was French, English, and history. And she loved all 3 of those subjects ever since, and particularly France. Before she got to university, in high school, there was a scholarship she entered for, and she won, that paid her a summer's stay in France. But she had to make all the arrangements. She had a French pen friend, and they found 2 families that would take her in and got paid for looking after her, and she went and lived in France for 2 or 3 months. She had to fly there on her own, again, live with 2 total families of strangers, one on a farm. And French farms at that time were pretty medieval. They didn't have a lot of power machinery or anything, and they did everything by hand. So it was a huge culture shock for this gal from central London. And the other one was with a fruit merchant in a town called Albi in the south of France. So at that point, she fell in love with France. I think she may have fallen in love with a young Frenchman at the time, but I never inquired too much. And so then, when she came back, that was it. And then we met second year of college. And that's a story too, because I was going out with a really nice girl. Nice, placid, good-looking, easygoing. Her father was really well employed. Nice house in Oxford. And I dumped her. And I looked around and sort of checked out the field, as one does in college, I mean, hey, if you've been there, you know how it works. And I saw this slim, good-looking young lady and sort of said to my buddies, "Who's that?" "Oh, that's Helen Press." And I said, "Okay." So I figured out who her friends were, and I gathered up my courage, and I went and banged on her door, because she lived in a residence for girls, I lived in a residence for guys. And of course, that's the way it was, and I think that's the way it should be. I opened the door, clouds of smoke come out, because I think we all smoked at that time. And there's a herd of girls, there's 4 or 5 of them sitting around a table with ashtrays, cigarettes, and cards. And they're all playing bridge or whist or something like that. And they look up, sort of me, like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Helen." I said, "Have you got a minute?" So she looks at me strangely, and we came outside, and I said, "Do you want to come out for coffee with me or dinner or something?" I can't remember what I said anyway. And she said, "Okay." And I didn't realize it, that one of the other girls in the room was the one I dumped. Which was a trifle awkward. So, but anyway, Helen and I were an item after that, and stayed so till the end of college. To give you a flavor of Helen, she was adventurous. She was very adventurous. At the end of college, everybody took off back to their parents, to their brothers, to jobs. We couldn't find any jobs anywhere, either of us. And temporary work, yes, but not real work. And we decided to take a holiday. So I graduated in my blue jeans and a t-shirt, which some people didn't approve of, but I had to get everything into a backpack, because we hitchhiked up to the north of England. Up to the north of England, and caught the ferry across to Norway, across the North Sea. And it's an overnight passage. And we didn't have any money, so we didn't have a cabin. We were sitting in the seats, and they were right up the front of the boat. It was extremely rough, and it was going like this, smash, bang, the whole way across. We were both sick as dogs. And we got to Norway, and we were supposed to go up to way out into the middle of the northern Norway. But we didn't realize that in Norway, all the roads, it's like a spider's web. All the roads lead out from Oslo, which is the capital in the south. And we'd landed in the middle of the coast, and you couldn't get across. You had to go down to Oslo and then come back up. And we couldn't do that. So we went down to Oslo and we rented a little cabin on Oslo Fjord and had the most wonderful holiday for 2 weeks, sitting in the sun by Oslo Fjord, fishing out of a little boat. And I got wonderful photographs of that time. And that was the first holiday we took together. And holidays for Helen were magic. She loved her holidays. And we both remembered that one so fondly. It was so cute. It was like a playhouse for adults, and we were the kids, and we just had a wonderful time. So that's what she was like, adventurous. You know, at college she'd hitchhiked all the way around Europe with another female friend of hers, through Germany, and there was no communication with parents at that time. I've got a postcard in there that says, "Dear Mum, I'm in Stuttgart now, and I'll be home in a few weeks." And that was it. And that was it. It was a different time, a different country. And as the saying goes, the past is a foreign country, and they do things differently there. And that is so true. It was a different time. It was a different life. Then Helen got temporary jobs. I got temporary jobs. I got a place. I got a year to teach in Vermont at the smallest Ivy League college in the USA. And went there, taught biology, and after I'd been there a couple of months, I wrote to Helen. I said, "Why don't you come over?" And she did. She said, "Sure." So that's what she was like. And two things happened during that time, because this was 1969, and it was the middle of the Vietnam War, and this college was a very, very left-wing by American standards place. There was a CIA agent or two on campus. The CIA went to Helen's door in London and banged on the door and checked her out because of the letters I was sending from that college. Isn't that amazing? And so then she came out and she said, "Well, what am I going to do?" And I said, "I don't know." She said, "Will they make me pay?" I said, "I don't expect so. That's the way I am." And so she went down the first morning they were there I had a little suite, and presented herself for breakfast, and nobody said much, and they all introduced themselves to her, and all the students were all sitting there. Wonderful food, hot coffee, beautiful, compared with what we had in England. And after a few weeks, one of the staff sort of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Who's that?" So then they found a job for her in the office, being that she'd done secretarial training at that point, could type, do dictation and all that kind of thing. So they gave her a job, and I had my job as teaching biology. At the end of the year, they wanted me to come back the next year, and we had a blessing in disguise, because if I'd have come back the next year, I'd have been eligible for the draft. I'd have been A1 for the draft for the Vietnam War. So he said, "Screw that," and borrowed a car, because this was America in the 1960s. You want to go on a holiday? Oh no, we bought one. We bought a car, a Chevy Biscayne, about 20 feet long. I could lie on the hood, flat out. You could camp in the back, which we did, and we took off for 6 weeks down the east coast of America. And at that time, there was no other tourists. We were the only ones. There was nobody in the campsites. Choose your spot, go in there. And Helen and I had a wonderful time. This adventurous gal, we poked our nose into all kinds of corners. We got down to North Carolina, down through Virginia and into North Carolina. And that was the year when they buried 5 civil rights workers in a dam in North Carolina. And of course, like a couple of people said, saw my hair, I had blonde afro sort of hair out to here. Torn off jeans and sandals, and Helen had jeans and long dangly earrings and a pixie cut for her hair, and we had a Chevy Biscayne with New England plates on it, Vermont plates, and we got shouted out on the roads, "Hey, Yankee, go home!" And at one point we were going through, I can't remember the name of it, and it was on the tip of my tongue there. Town in North Carolina, and it's just like you see in the movies, just like in Deliverance. There's the courthouse with the steps, and there's the old men sitting on the steps, and they got their canes and they had their hats on. And as we walked past, we could hear them spitting on the sidewalk behind us because we looked like hippies, right? We weren't. We were hippie-ish, but we were definitely not hippies. And at that point, we said, I think we should turn around and go north. So we headed back north again. And before the due date where they could snag me, we climbed on a plane and went back to Britain. After a while, doing temporary jobs, I got a place in UBC, and Helen and I got married in, not in a rush, but fairly quickly, and came out to UBC, which is where I met some of you, including Les and Levon Coscatello here. And that was 53 years ago now. I think you're the only ones from UBC, from that era here. Yeah, and there's a friend of ours called Ralph. His wife is here, but he's unable to attend today. So after 6 or 8 months at UBC, I didn't like it. Helen got a good job. If she'd have stayed there, she'd probably be running the place. And then we went and started a greenhouse business. I mean, well, why not, you know? And that lasted about a year. We couldn't get along with the people that we were partnered with. Then more temporary jobs, couldn't decide what we were doing. And Helen worked in a flower shop on East Hastings, and we had a great landlord and lived a rental there. And I said that I wanted to buy a house. My mother was an antiques dealer, and so Helen and I spent a wonderful year hanging around the auctions, buying boxes of junk cheap and reselling it on the Lougheed swap meet, if anybody remembers that, which is where the Lougheed drive-in was. There's a block of flats now, a block of apartments, I'm sure now. And we made enough to get a down payment on a house in Fort Langley. Meantime, I got bored, got a job as a roofer, which I was for 2 years, then I started my own business. I said, I can do this. And then I was a roofing contractor and a bit of a general contractor for 10 years. And as Helen said, rather pointedly at one point, she said, if I wanted to marry a roofer, I could have stayed in London. So, yes. But she kept me on track, and at that point we discovered her ability to organize and handle money because she kept me in business. I mean, I could do the work, I could do the contracts, I could deal with the people and everything. I enjoyed all of that, but I was not good with the money. I had to learn from scratch. Neither of us knew anything about money. Neither of us had any money in our background. Money was something you had in a pocket, and it came in your pocket, and it came and went on a weekly basis. So that took us through till 1979, which is when we built this house. So that's 43 years ago. Toby was 3. We got a picture of Megan sitting fast asleep next door to a concrete truck pouring concrete outside on the side of the road. Yeah, so that's, and 3/4 of the way through that, I left Helen, went up to Ocean Falls and did a big roofing contract up there. And I left Helen with a 3/4 finished house, a sea of mud, and 2 children. And anyway, without joking, that was nearly the end of our relationship. We could see the financial advantage was huge, because this was big money for the time that I could make out of this. But at the same time, the psychological stress for both of us was pretty harsh. But anyway, we did recover. Then 82 came along and knocked the bottom out of the construction business when interest rates crashed and housing market came down by 35%. And at that point, somebody said to me, why don't you be a realtor? And I said, sure, okay. On the grounds that the lawyer would collect money for me. Helen said, great, because we need money. And then she became a realtor as well. And she was good at it. She was good at it. She was gentle with the people. And you must realize that Helen was honest as the day is long. You know, if you gave her $1 million and went away for 10 years, you'd come back to $1 million plus the interest you'd learned, and she would apologize for not giving you more. And so she was good. She was good, and she could handle the paperwork and the finances so much better than I could. Then we started a property management business, and again, I did the contracts and the people. And Helen rescued me because we had a gal that was supposed to be doing the accounting, and she was making a horrible mess of it, and I didn't know because I didn't understand it. Helen basically learned double entry bookkeeping in 2 weeks, took it over, straightened it out, and ran it forevermore. All the trust funds, other people's money, so you're audited annually on this stuff, ran it to the penny for the next, I don't know, Megan, 10, 15 years. And we ended up with a property management business that we could sell. And that was around the time we retired. During all this time, we had now 3 children. They were growing. It was difficult. It was hugely difficult for us because we speak English. We fit right in to Canada. It's easy for us as immigrants. But I know how hugely difficult it is because we had no family here. We had no backup. It was just us. I used to say, Jeremy and Helen against the world. And that's what it felt like. And it was hugely stressful on both of us. And it was a tough life. But Helen, tough lady, you know, and we stuck it out through thick and thin. We did say, I think, when we were married, although we used to argue about it, I think we did say, for better or for worse, and sickness and in health, and we did all of that, and in spades. Yeah, so that's sort of what happened, and then we retired. Along the way, we had great holidays, but I've put a bunch of pictures out over there of Helen on holiday, because holiday was Helen's happy place. She loved our holidays. We did great holidays. We did holidays with Dave and Sally. We did Dave and Sally there, Megan's in-laws. We did holiday with them, and we've done holidays with other people, John and Sharon over there, and big holidays in France, always France, Northern Italy, Spain, France. Because Helen spoke French, I speak a modicum of French, and we both loved the country. And so Helen said I should always have moved to France, and I think maybe she was right. She had a big chunk of France in her soul. So that's who the lady was. She was adventurous, honest, smart as a whip, and faithful to her family to a fault. Yeah, she was a remarkable lady. Put up with me. Oh, it's not a laughing matter. No, she did, and at times. And after we retired and the stresses of work receded, and we had enough money that we didn't have to worry about groceries on a regular basis, life became really nice. We both loved retirement. I guess we felt we'd earned it, and we did what we could to enjoy it. And at that time, well, since for the last 15 years, we've had grandchildren coming along, and grandchildren made Helen's life. She just loved the grandchildren. It was very hard for Helen when COVID started because she was suffering from some health problems at that time already, and with COVID, being separated from the grandchildren really hurt her. And the lack of social contact and not being able to go on holiday. It was really hard for the lady. And then she had some more health issues, and then November last year, a devastating diagnosis of an aggressive form of breast cancer. And she underwent 6 months of chemo that basically took her down week by week. You could see her getting weaker and weaker. And at the end of it, she caught pneumonia. And after 4 days in the ICU, she died of pneumonia. With her family all around, we were all there, holding our hands and holding our shoulders and sending her on her way. So that's the story of my life with Helen. A wonderful lady, a strong lady. Look you in the eye and wouldn't give you an inch if you didn't deserve it. And she kept me in line, mostly. And we had a wonderful life together, full life, a rich, adventurous, full life, with ugly bits. But then I used to call her my English Rose, because an English Rose in literature, Helen loved literature, so do I. An English rose in literature is the stereotypical Englishwoman with blonde hair, blue eyes, pink on the cheeks, fair, clear complexion. That's the English rose, stereotypical. Helen was my English rose. And English roses have thorns, and if they didn't have thorns, they'd be very dull. So that was my wife, and I love her dearly to this day. And in her memory, I've got 2 poems that I'd like to read, and I'll do my best in reading them, but forgive me, I am not a professional reader. The first one is from me to Helen. And it's by another lady. Both of these are by women because Helen was a very strong believer in female equality and she was a feminist through and through. As am I. This one is by a lady called Mary Oliver, who was the poet laureate of the USA for a while. And this one goes, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things." So that's to Helen. And this one is a very famous poem. And this is a message with the way that Helen and I thought, I believe, it would be from her to us. And I'm hoping I can get through this one. "Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die." Thank you. And I'll turn the microphone over to, I believe, Megan. And then we'll have the opportunity for other people to speak after that. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna try to make it through this, so we'll see. Thank you for being here with us today to celebrate my mom's life. I'm Megan, Helen's daughter. Like my dad said, my mom, she didn't die directly from breast cancer. She passed away from a lung infection at the end of her chemotherapy sessions. She spent her last 4 days in the ICU at Abbotsford Hospital. During these 4 days, my mom was alert and mentally sharp, even as her body was failing her. I was with my mom when the ICU doctor told her, sorry, I don't know why I'm shaking like that. Yeah. I was with my mom when the ICU doctor told her she wasn't going to survive beyond the next 2 days and that she had to decide whether to go on a ventilator, of which she would not come off. It was devastating news. However, my mom true to her nature and career as a realtor, began to negotiate the use of the ventilator with the doctor. He seemed surprised, and I think he was impressed with my mom's ability to think so quickly, given how ill she was. Well, that was my mother. She was one of the smartest people I knew. She was perceptive, quick thinking, great in a crisis, and courageous throughout her life. My mom was many things to many people. It's hard to capture all that she was, her complex and unique character, and all that she meant to me. To me, she was not only my mother, but my closest friend. We shared so many big laughs together, great holidays, and conversations that would go on for hours and hours. She was with me at all the births of my children, supporting me and sharing the joy. My mom was a strong female role model throughout my life. She taught me how to stand up for myself and for the things that are important to me. My mom taught this by example in how she lived her own life. My mom was a dedicated volunteer. She drove for Meals on Wheels, was on the board of the Langley Community Music School and the Fort Langley Community Association, where she was a strong advocate for Fort Langley residents during the planning of the controversial Bedford Landing development. As you probably know, my mom was no pushover. She believed in tough love, but she also had faith in my ability to overcome life's challenges, which led me to some of my greatest adventures. And for that, I'm grateful to Mom. My mom always made time for me. I could call her on the phone or stop in at her house anytime, and she would welcome me in with a cup of tea and a smile. I loved our long, meandering conversations. She had a wealth of knowledge and opinions on so many topics. We didn't always agree, but that just made the conversation livelier and louder too. Her passing has left a large hole in my life. I love my mom deeply and miss her every day. My mom was a loving and devout grandparent to my 3 daughters, Madeline, Charlotte, and Julia. Some of my mom's happiest times were with her granddaughters, and she loved them so much. She thought it was important to truly know them and spent time with them often. Each of my girls had their own special relationship with my mom. They love her, and they're missing their Nana. Lastly, I want to thank my dad. Thank you for taking such good care of Mom during her cancer. I know it was a very difficult time for you, and you did it with so much compassion for Mom, patience, and grace. I thank you, Dad. That's all.
And then we'll turn the mic open, and anybody that wants to say a few words about Helen and what she meant to them, or what she did with them, please do so. We'd love to hear the stories and any reminiscences and anything you have to say. Doreen.
My name is Doreen Murphy, and my husband and I have known Jeremy and Helen for 47 years. We met them when they moved into Fort Langley, where they lived in that house on Queen Street, this little rancher on Queen Street, and our children, we knew them when they had their first 2 children, and they were similar ages to ours. So we had times when we would all play together and look after one another's children, and so we had time together then. Then Terry and I went to live in New Zealand, and when we came back, it was nice to renew all that time with Jeremy and Helen, and our Englishness we shared, and the cups of tea. And always with Helen, there were things that we had similar opinions on. And also there were times when we couldn't agree, and she was such an argumentative woman. It was very hard to make a point with her, but she still let you say what you wanted to say. Anyway, but when we came back from New Zealand, our two boys, the older ones, Toby and Tom, they became good friends again and got into so much mischief that we were very glad not to know all the details, Toby. We don't want to know anything today. Then Helen and I were doing things together, which was the same time, which was we were part of the library readers together, and then we also were very fond of gardens, so we always had gardens to talk about. And we also then Helen started doing Scottish country dancing. And we did that, we've done that for a year. She always liked the difficult dances, the ones that were a challenge. She didn't want anything too easy to do. And then when she took over the job as treasurer, you won't be surprised to hear about that because she was really good with the money. And then when she was diagnosed and sick and she had to come home, not to dance anymore, she still kept on the job as the treasurer. And so then by this time she was really sick. It was at the beginning, end of last year, the beginning of this year. And I would come over and give her the money to put into the bank account from our club. And I knew that she was delicate and I wanted to just pop in and drop it off and leave, but no, we had to get going, yeah. And so often an hour would go by and I think, oh, I must let this woman go. So I would leave, and then she talked to me about you finding the lot in Fort Langley in the cemetery. And she was so matter-of-fact about it. You know, I want it here and I like it here and I've had a look around, blah, blah, blah. And she tells me all this story, but I thought, you know, it takes a lot for someone to talk about. She knew that she wasn't here for much longer, and so she wanted to, so we had a chat about that. When she lost her hair, there was no pretending when I came round. She wasn't wearing a scarf or a hat. She had lost her hair, and we had our chats. And so she was just a remarkable woman, very strong woman, very opinionated. And yeah, we miss her. She's left a hole.
No one else? Come on, be brave. Stand up and say a few words. Just cry into the microphone if you choose.
I'm going to invite my wife up because I keep forgetting the names of people here. So my name's Jerry, this is Debbie, and we've known you, Helen and Jeremy, for about 44 years. 44 years. You see, she's good, isn't she? 44 years. Because we lived in Fort Langley, we bought that little house on Queen Street. And while they were building that, and the first memories we have of Helen, the realtor apparently hadn't let her know that we were coming to look at the house, so it was sort of rather chaotic. She was doing the laundry, I think, and there was only a sort of a hand crank washing machine or something like that, and Megan was running around in diapers that were falling off, and so that was the first memory. But we kind of loved the house, and we bought it from them for. I think she negotiated very, very hard for that. I'm not sure what the price should have been, but it was only 45,000. So. And then we kind of became friends, you know, because we were living in Fort Langley and they were just living over here. She introduced us to the babysitting circle, and here Debbie can speak about who we met from the babysitting circle.
Oh, I don't quite remember, but I know in those days those were Vicky and Morris, which I think you all know about them. And then there's Baba and Richard, and I'm not sure Doreen was in it. I'm sure, yeah. And there's quite a number of them. So we were so new in the fort here, and it was really through Helen that we knew everybody, and we become friends and joined the babysitting group. And I also have no family in the fort, but my family was in Vancouver. So it's in those days, Jerry was working in Aldergrove, so we only have one vehicle, so it's very hard for me to go anywhere. So Helen was a lifesaver for me and my elder daughter in those days. Yeah, she's a leader. She's a trooper. And when we had the other two kids, the three kids, and we came back, and I think it was two kids, and I was giving birth in Vancouver, and Helen and Jeremy look after the kids so that Jerry can be in Vancouver, in St. Paul, to be with me and the younger child's birth. So, yeah, so we kept in touch, and it's been really sad for us that we saw Helen a week before she passed away, and she was very positive about life and looking forward to the operation in June. And so we had a really nice chat, and she was smiling all the time. I always remember her smiling face and her cheerful voice. And so then we heard the news, and we were very sad. And we stopped when we finished what we had to do, and we came back, and we stopped when we visited Jeremy. So it has been a very sad time for us too.
Yeah, and like Jeremy and Helen, we love gardening too, and it was lovely looking around the garden here. And I remember that because I worked in a nursery, like a big sort of plant, small seedling type things, you know. But it was nice to be able to have Jeremy back in the day in Fort Langley and be able to discuss, you know, types of compost and what goes where and what how you should prune this and whatever. So it was kind of neat to have that, you know, because Jeremy actually studied botany and I just sort of made it up, you know. Anyway, so that was good, and yeah, we had lots. Jeremy and I had lots of walks together, and we've stayed in this house several times, and it's just we have a nice connection, and I hope that connection continues. Yeah. Okay, nice meeting you all. Yeah.
No one else? Going once? Going twice? Sharon, please. Have a microphone.
I'm not sure I should be talking because all these old friends, but Helen was a brand new friend, and she's.
Explain how we know each other.
I'm happy to talk about my dear friend Helen. When I moved to Fort Langley, I wanted to be part of the community. On the Fort Langley Facebook page, I invited those who may be interested in conversational French to come to a meeting. Helen and Jeremy were among that group. They became the constants of the group over the 7 years of meeting with different people. Helen was our leader. Like everybody said, she was so intelligent. She loved French. And Helen invited me to a community improvement meeting. I ended up sitting beside Rhonda Coleman, and Rhonda and I chatted during the meeting, and at the end she invited me to be a volunteer for Food and Friends and Arm of Meals and Wheels. There I help serve lunches to seniors and have been doing that for a few years now, and I love it. Thanks to Helen. I felt like I was beginning to belong to the community. Helen also invited me to an evening of Scottish dancing. I had a lot of fun with that, met some wonderful people, but I just couldn't get the real. Helen even tried teaching it to me during one of our French meetings, but I was hopeless. So after 4 years of trying and fed up with spoiling it for other dancers, I decided to bow out. But Helen was a big part of the Voyageur dancers and was very good at it. She was good at whatever she did. Over the past few years, I've got to know Helen. We'd become good friends. We had many good talks in French and English, and we shared many good laughs. She was like a teacher to me. I have missed our get-togethers. I've missed and continue to miss Helen. Repose en paix, mon ami.
So is anybody saying else venturing up the microphone? Sounds like the woodpecker's going to have a go. So now we are lucky enough to have Mark Church, who is a neighbor of ours and a friend of ours, who I tease by saying that he's a professional musician who moonlights as a math professor at the University of Fraser Valley. He is really good, if you don't know him, and for us he's given street concerts on many occasions. He got us through COVID, that's true. Mark is a wonderful guy and he's a wonderful singer. So the food is inside, so please mingle, talk, move your chairs around. Mark knows that he is part of the entertainment today, and please celebrate Helen by having a good time. She would want you to. Trust me, she would. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate everything that you've done with Helen in her life, and I'm eternally grateful for you coming here today. And I will have my phone hopefully hooked up to Facebook, and I'm going to try and get some people from England on the phone. If I can, I will interrupt the proceedings and we'll hear some words from England. Okay? Carry on.
Walking fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days upon the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down among the fields of gold. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walk in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walk in fields of gold. The summertime has come, and the trees sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme goes around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I won't build my love a bower by yon cool crystal fountain, and around it I will pile all the wildflowers blooming. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will range through the wilds in the deep glen stay dreary, and return with their spoils to the bower, oh my dearie. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If my true love shall not come, then I'll surely find another to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? Thank you. I brought that home right from Scotland there. Thank you. I'll sing a couple upbeatish, right? We can do some upbeat songs too, right? So I know Helen would like us to have a bit of fun here. My house in Budapest, my hidden treasure chest, golden grand piano, my beautiful Castile. Ooh, for you, ooh, I'd leave it all. My acres of land I have achieved. It may be hard for you to stop and believe it. For you, ooh, for you, ooh, I'd leave it all. Oh, for you, ooh, for you, ooh, I'd leave it all. And give me one good reason why I should never make a change. And baby, if you want me, then all of this will go away. My many artifacts, the list goes on. If you just say the words, I'll up and run to you. Ooh, for you, ooh, I'd leave it all. Oh, for you, ooh, for you, ooh, I'd leave it all. And give me one good reason why I should never make a change. And baby, if you want me, then all of this will go away. And give me one good reason why I should never make a change. go away. My friends and family, they don't understand. They fear they lose so much if you take my hand for you. Ooh, for you. Ooh, I'm leaving on. Oh, for you. Ooh, for you. Ooh, I'm leaving on. And give me one good reason why I should never make a change. And baby, if you want me, then all of this will go away. And give me one good reason why I should never make a change. And baby, if you want me, then all of this will go away. My house in Budapest, my interest just golden grand piano, my beautiful Castile, you. Ooh, for you. Ooh, little. Oh, for you. Ooh, for you. Ooh, leave it all.
Yep, got him on. You want to try set that up?
Do you think we can try and hook this up?
Yeah, let's see if we can do it. Let's do it.
Okay, just bear with us. We're going to try and hook you up. How are we going to hook him up? I can't remember.
I'll get it.
Yeah, just bear with us. And then I'll give a big holler to everybody.
Whoops. Sorry.
It's kind of hard.
Here, take this. Take the other one. Yeah, I'll take it.
Can you say testing, testing?
Let's see. No, here, just stand to the side there. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah. Yeah, we can hear them, so.
Can you hear it? Can you speak up?
Yeah, testing. Gentlemen.
I can turn it up a little bit too.
Okay. I'm talking. I'm talking.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Okay.
Can you just hold this phone for a minute?
Yeah,
Just introduce yourself.
This will still work here.
Yeah, okay.
So, what do you want to say? Oh, hi. I'm Mark. I've taken over for a minute here, but we're gonna get people's attention, and I think you can maybe say a few words. We have you on the big speaker here, but.
We've got some of them, Bob.
You can speak in here to get people's. This is still on too, so if you want to get people's attention.
Yeah, we have a gentleman from England. His wife Beryl was at school with Helen from the age of 11 on, and they've been lifetime friends. Bob is a botanist as well as me, so we get on like a house on fire, and they've been close friends for all of our married life, even though we're an ocean and a continent apart. And Bob, can you say a few words?
Hello, Jeremy. It's me at the moment.
Oh, hi, Beryl.
So, hello. I'm Beryl in England. I'm with you in spirit, if not in person. Bob, my husband, who also knew Helen well, will read a few words from me.
Thank you, Beryl.
I'm with you in spirit, if not in person.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bob, Beryl's husband. I'm reading this on behalf of Beryl. She felt she might not be able to get through it, so I'm trying to go through this. We would have loved to have been there, but unfortunately we couldn't be. However, with the wonder of the internet, we've been watching the live feed and we're with you all the way. I met Helen back in 1958 when we started at the Rains Grammar School, aged 11 years old. After finding our feet, we ended up as a group of 4, and that's how we first finished school time. Helen went on to university and I joined the working fraternity. Years passed, marriages occurred, children appeared for Helen after emigrating to Canada, but we kept in touch. We visited Helen and Jeremy in Canada, and they visited us in England as they both still had relations here. We enjoyed various holidays together. The last one organised for South America was cancelled due to COVID and health problems. Not the women's health problems, but the men's health problems. Then we didn't meet again, except by the courtesy of FaceTime and Facebook. Our birthdays were within days of each other, so the big O's were a great holiday excuse. So our friendship spanned 65 years, and it's a shock to the system to lose Helen. She has left a legacy by having a family which she was proud of. The void she has left will never be filled. Rest in peace, Helen.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you very much, Beryl, and it's good to hear your voices, even in these circumstances. So just remember, Beryl, this is a celebration of Helen's life, because she did have a full life. She did have an adventurous life. She was loved, and she loved. And that's why we're here, just to say thank you for a life well lived. And I hope that we all have the same. Bye,
Okay, Charlie. Bye.
Bye. All my love,
you.
guys. Bye. There. That made a change.
I'm just gonna adjust the volume.
Oh, no, just wait. Just don't do anything.
Do you want to call someone else?
Just
Yep.
see if I can get.
Do you want me to turn this off though, and then when you get them, I'll.
We won't get that echo.
Which
Because
echo?
there was a little echo in the back.
Yeah, I think they might have had the stream on in the background. Is maybe why.
Okay.
But actually, what I'll do, I'll just turn the volume down a little bit, and then if you get them, I'll turn it back up.
I used to. Oh.
As always. Just gonna turn this down just in case it gets over.
Come on.
Okay, we got.
Justin. Can you get this time on FaceTime? Or maybe you go to FaceTime.